Good morning, everyone. Welcome to equity-alerts.com. My name is Lindsay, but I'm also known in our daily trading webinar as the Matica Kid. Today is Sunday, September 23rd. And today I'm going to record this Sunday training and instructional session. First, give me a few moments, and I am quickly going to show you how to become a member of equity-alerts.com and how to access our daily trading webinar. First, you need to go to www.equity-alerts.com and you will get a display of our webpage. Once you've gone to our webpage, you should see a display that looks very similar to this. You will then see a number of buttons at the top of the page that will take you to certain links of our website. But first, what I'm going to do today is we're going to show you how to become a member of equity-alerts.com, which will take you to our daily trading webinar, and hopefully you've signed up for our Clear Lines package that will display the clear lines on your chart. So go over to where it says Join Today, click the button, and you will see a screen that looks just like this. You should read everything on this display, scrolling down, and understand what certain types of memberships that we offer. The first type of membership is up here, where we describe and tell you the combination of Clear Lines and the Equity Alerts daily trading webinar. This will allow you to sign up and get the month-to-month Clear Lines with our webinar, or an option to do a yearly Clear Lines with our webinar. We recommend that you sign up for this membership because not only will you get access to our daily trading webinars, but you also will get the software which is known as Clear Lines that was developed by one of our expert traders, Kip Cohen. Now if you scroll down, you will see two other types of memberships. You can sign up strictly for our daily trading webinar or the Equity Alerts only, where you will get access to our webinar. However, you will not get access to the Clear Lines that we suggest that you also have on your charts. Finally, if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see a membership that will allow you access only to the Clear Lines, not to the daily webinar, but only to the Clear Line software. Now, once you have read through the options of our memberships, just all you have to do is hit one of these buttons, Sign Up Now, for the type of membership that you want. We again suggest signing up for the Clear Lines with the webinar. That will give you both the daily trading webinar and the Clear Lines, which we will display on our charts. Again, just hit one of these buttons. You will go to a screen that will set your login information and set your password. Once you've gone through our sign up process, you should either go back to our home page or a button here that says Member Login. So I'm just going to go back to our home page first. Go back to our main screen, which looks like this. And now I am going to hit Member Login. Takes you to this screen. You want to log in your email address and the password that you sent and log in. It quickly confirms who's logging in. Welcome back, Lindsay. And then you want to hit this button that says Launch Webinar. Click the link to our daily webinar, and you will get something that looks just like this. And note that it will first show a list of all our trading experts, and then your name below, listed alphabetically, of all the attendees that are currently in the webinar. Finally, this area here will display the live charts of the trading expert who is hosting the webinar. And also, these two boxes here, the left one is where the chat log is. Just highlight it, type in your question, and then send it to us. And lastly, the box here, which is where the trading expert posts his trades live. Okay, give me a few moments to set up my screen that will be displayed for today's Sunday training and instructional session. Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to equity-alerts.com and our Sunday training and instructional video. My name is Lindsay, but known as the Matikid Kid in our daily trading webinar. So you'll currently see I have opened the Medved trading and charting platform that I downloaded to my computer. And on the screen right now, I have displayed a 10-minute chart of Netflix. So with that being said, welcome to everybody who has logged into the training session today. I see that we have several members who are logged in. So ask away with any questions, guys and gals. I think, did I see a quick question from, was it LP? Oliver. Okay, so Shao's asking, Lindsay, for the pops and drops, which we do in the morning after our trading expert Kip Cohen lists his pop and dropper list, what is your entry? Is it a 1 minute? When will you enter? How to set a stop loss for last week? My entry too early? Should you wait to the high? If so, it should be. Okay, so when Kip lists his list of poppers and droppers, I will put on my screen all the symbols to a chart. So what I normally do when you have poppers and droppers, and let me just give me 1 second. Let me change this here, make it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so now I've got a 1 minute chart up with 50 candles displayed. So what I do is I kind of do some planning beforehand on all the symbols and kind of look at a quick history, maybe a 10-minute history of what Netflix in this case has done. Look at the lows, look at the highs, see if there's any pivot points. Let me just display my pivot points. Yep, I'll get to that. So I've displayed pivot points. So I sort of look at Netflix and see if it's near any pivot points, see where the low is in the pre-market or the high, whichever it is. And I sort of, before I get into a trade, I sort of say, well, again, if Netflix got up to this pivot area, this pivot line at 366, or maybe down to this support line of S1 at 362, or to show more pivots, you know, I would sort of look at that. I'd look at where the high wicks are or the low wicks, high and low wicks on the stock. And I'll be looking at the 1 and the 3, maybe the 5, but mostly the 1 and the 3. And I want to see some confirmation that, you know, it's starting to either roll over if we're going to short or, you know, spike if we're going to go long. But basically, the 1 and the 3 minute are what I look at when I'm placing a trade. If I'm researching a trade, you know, before the market opens, yeah, I'll go back and look at a little history. Maybe it gives me some more places where Netflix may go. I use the 10 and 20 SMAs here, these two lines, also for looking for entries. So when I set, okay, so that's when will I enter. So again, I sort of look for levels, and then I kind of wait to see if we get some, either the clear lines or some candles to sort of make me get in. How to set a loss, a stop loss. So I was stopped out 15 cents high enter. Okay. In the morning when I do pops and drops, um, let's say I've entered a trade. I like to scale in a little. Again, I have a certain amount of money where I think, a full position is would be. It depends on your size of a portfolio and what you want to risk, and there's a lot of other factors involved. But I sort of, in my mind, let's just say, for example, I would consider a full position $25,000 worth of whatever stock. And I might lag into it, like take a third of that and do a first trade. And if it kind of goes against me a little, I might get in, one more time. But depending on the price of the stock, but usually on a popper and dropper, I might give it 25 cents once I'm in a full position or even whatever position I'm in. So are you asking how to set a stop, Shao? Or are you, okay, so if you go to bring down this ribbon and go to trading, you will see a number of choices that you can make to make a trade. All right. Or on my chart, I have these buttons already displayed. So instead of bringing down that, I just hit stop. Okay. And again, I don't have a position in Netflix, but let's assume I did. So once I hit that stop button, I right click on my screen, and let's say I'm long Netflix, so I want to put a sell, you want to put a sell stop in. So if you hit sell, and this Medved platform, you can move around whatever you want to do with your stop. Let's just say, for example, I want to set it at, let's say, again, assuming I'm in a trade, let's say I want to set my stop at 360. So after I've right-clicked and brought this bubble up, I'll left-click it, and that'll activate the trade. All right. Now the first thing is, let's say I only own 100 shares of Netflix. So if you double-click on the number and then punch in the amount of shares you want to trade on that particular stop, just type in 100, click that yellow button, and you see my display now. It shows 100 shares. The other thing is I didn't want to put it at 360.04. I want to put it at 360, so double click on that button and then type in the price that I want. Hit the yellow button, excuse me, the green arrow, and you can see now that my order has moved to 360. Now, a couple of things that I have my chart set up for is this eye on the left, bottom left. It says display the full order. So if you click the eye, the full order comes up, short 100. Well, in this case, it's short because market's not open and I don't have a position. But normally it would say, stop out my Netflix long at X. And then if I want to send the order, you can see it says send order to my broker. Okay, and you want to make sure you're linked to your trading account or wherever you want to put this order. Hit the left, upper left, which says a green check. And one last time it says, do you want to submit this new order? Okay. And then, now in this case, I'm going to click no, but it just gives you one last chance to submit an order. So I'm going to put no because I don't want to submit it in this example. Okay, and then I'm just going to get rid of this order. So I go up here to this red X, click that, and it cancels the order. So again, you can set your stop order either by, if you have buttons set up on your screen, or bringing down the trading section here. All right, and then you can, again, buy, sell. It'll give you a number of possibilities to do. And also, if you want to, instead of you want to chart, if you want to trade off your charts and you just want to put a new trade ticket in, so hit this button here, and if you give me a second to resize it here, here's a normal trade ticket that I have set up, and you can default to a number of shares, what kind of order, what if time and force, and then here you want to short, buy, or sell. Again, since I don't have a position, it won't let me put a stop in. So I hope that answered your question. Let me just double check here. Should you wait the high? If so, okay. So, you know, the one last comment I'll make, Shao, you know, when we trade the pops and drops in here every day, I don't necessarily chase, you know, a trade in the first 3 to 5 minutes. Kind of want the market to kind of open up and get settled in. I'm not saying I don't, but I just, you know, unless one of the symbols really hits one of my levels that I think I'm going to trade, you know, I might just wait 3 minutes, at the most 5 minutes to get into a trade. I'm a little bit more cautious because you just want to, you know, see what the market opens. Sometimes it doesn't open at futures, and you know, it's higher or lower, or maybe a popper continues to go up and a dropper continues to go down, and so I just don't want to jump into trades, and I rarely chase a trade. If I say, for example, well, okay, I'm going to wait till Netflix gets down to this S2 level, all right, and I might just put a limit order either right above it or right below it. If it looks like it's going to start moving up, I really have to feel confident and chase it. I rarely do. And if I miss it by a penny, I miss it by a penny. And, you know, in this webinar between our traders, Kip, Jim, Steve, myself, and Kevin, you know, we're going to post a number of trade possibilities. Now, if you want to go chase it, that's fine with you. We're not telling you to follow us, you know, almost like computer. Oh, let's go long Netflix at this price. You need to feel comfortable with you getting into a trade. But if we post something, you should be looking at it. So hopefully, Shao, how to set the right amount of stop. Well, again, you can set your stop for whatever you feel most comfortable with. You gotta remember there's a risk reward to every trade, and you like to think that you're going to get at least 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 on a trade. So again, it depends on the stock price. You know, let's say we're trading. What do we trade last? AMD. So because that's a smaller price stock as opposed to Netflix, you know, if I do a 0.5% at risk, or 25 cents at risk, or even 10 cents at risk, you know, I would hope that my goal would be to make double or triple that amount at risk. So you get a 2 to 1, 3 to 1 chance at, you know, as a goal. So again, you got to feel comfortable with how much you want to trade, or you know, for some reason the stock goes against you. You have to limit your losses. There's no question about that. You don't want to get in a trade and all of a sudden Netflix, you know, you're long and all of a sudden it goes down $3, $4. You know, you have to put some sort of stop in. At least to me, you can always change them, move them, modify them, but get some sort of stop in that you're comfortable. Say, okay, if this trade doesn't work out, I'm going to lose $100. That's kind of a, for me, a normal risk. But I'm looking at making either $200, $300, or $400 on a particular trade. So again, just, use the buttons, use your trade ticket, set whatever you want as a stop or whatever it is. And, hey, listen, none of us are perfect, but trading is a money management method. You can sit here. I mean, we've had days where we might have put in 7 trades and 5 of them were losers or maybe break evens. But let's say we just happen to lose $100 on each one. It's rare, but let's just assume we did. But the 2 winners, we might have made, $1.50 on one and 75 cents on the other. So, yeah, we lost 100, but in 5 trades. But in 2 trades, we made $2.25. So, when your friends ask you, how you're doing, you say, well, I only had 2 winners today out of 7 trades. Oh, really? Geez, no, I still made money. So that's most important when you're trading. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so Oliver, could you once again show how you plot? Now, let me tell you, you can read all the advertisements or listen to, nobody wins 100%. Nobody wins 95%, 90%. It's just the market, have no idea what markets do and they change in a heartbeat. But nobody's ever near 100%, despite what Kramer says. Or the fast money guys. Okay, so, okay, Oliver, once again, can you show how to... So, on your chart, let me just get rid of this part. Setting indicators, as we call them, I'm not gonna do fibs first. I'll do fibs last. They're a little bit more complicated. But anyway, right click on your screen, and you want to go to this line right here, Add Edit Indicators. And your screen will bring up this panel. And on the left side of this display, you'll see a number of different indicators that the MedVed charting program platform will put on your chart. So just scroll down and look at, you can put all these things on your chart. Now, if you did one of everything, you'd have a chart that's a little bit confusing. But anyway, some people like to trade with Bollinger Bands. Okay, personally, I don't really know that much about Bollinger Bands, but Steve Bilby, one of our trading experts, he trades a lot with Bollinger Bands. And I know there's a lot of people in our webinar that trade with Bollinger Bands. Fibonacci's I'll get to in a minute. The Keltner channels, there's some people that trade with that. And obviously, so you can do some SMAs. So you asked about pivots. Okay, so what you need to do is scroll down until you see pivot points. Just highlight that line, move it over, and you see it now shows on the right-hand side of the chart or screen. And this is the selected indicators part. Now you can see right now I've got quite a few indicators that are on my chart. For this video, I took most of them off so it doesn't busy up my screen. But you've brought over pivot points. You hit this little edit pencil, okay, and it brings up what they call parameters for pivot points. Now you can do many things with pivot points. the first thing I do is show only last set. So it will show only today's pivot points. Okay? If you unclick this, it will display pivot points the whole on the whole chart that is displayed every day. And obviously pivot points change every day. So you'll see the different pivot points every day shown on your screen. Personally, I only want to show the last set. And again, when I make suggestions, comments, whatever, everybody, you have to set up your charts the way you're comfortable trading. Maybe you don't want pivot points. That's fine. I'm not telling you this is the way you have to set up your chart. You need to set up a chart so that when you're looking at it and you're in our webinar and our trading experts give out alerts, okay, you want to be on a chart that you look at and you say, okay, I'm comfortable with this trade or not. Not just because we say it. You have to feel, don't just jump because we said it. I like, maybe there's certain entries or a certain stock I'm watching, and I'm gonna short it, and maybe you or even some of the experts in here might say, yeah, I don't think, yes, I will. I don't think, I really want to go long there. It doesn't hit all my, check boxes. It just doesn't work. We're happy you're here. We're happy you're listening to the trading experts, but you need to set up your charts the way you want to see them. Now, obviously, I'm suggesting some ideas. I use pivot points a lot. So, getting back to the parameter, so I show only today's pivot points. And the two other boxes up here, I also check. So that when the pivot lines are drawn, number one, it'll show the actual label of that line, whether it's S1, S2, whatever it is. And also on my chart, it shows the price of that pivot point. Okay, again, I like that display. You may not, that's fine. Okay, I will use the daily period here, okay, for my pivot points. And then here, down at the bottom, okay, sorry. You can see these are the number of pivots that Medved will allow you to display. So I've drawn a chart of pivots that obviously you just check these boxes. If you want to see the pivot line, click it. You want to see the R1, R2, R3, R4, maybe you only want to see the 1 and the 2. I don't know. The support line, same thing. You can click the box and it will show whatever pivots you want. And just because I'm crazy when I set up my charts, I gave every one of the pivots a different color. You don't have to do that, but that's just me. Okay? So that is the parameters for the pivot lines. Now, if I hit OK, all right, and then hit apply, this is what's going to happen. So give me 1 second. I just want to show you what happens here. So I already have them set up. I'm going to hide my indicator in my chart. Okay. And hopefully, let's see what I can do. Okay. No, I already highlighted them. I'm sorry. So you can see now, once you hit OK, here are the pivot lines that it draws on my chart. Here is R1, which is at 369.41. The pivot actually is at 366.28. S1 is at 362.21. S2, again, those are the pivot points that I display on my charts when I do it. So again, right click on the screen, bring up the indicators. Now I'm going to go back to my normal indicators here. Okay, and I'm going to remove I highlighted the wrong line. Sorry about that. Go to pivots. This is my pivot that I have on my screen. So I'm going to unclick this. It'll show the indicator. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to just remove what the display that I'm going to get rid of this. No reason to have it twice, obviously. So I just highlight it, move it back over, and now it's gone. So that's pivots. What was the other one you got? Oh, VWAP. Okay, VWAP is another indicator over here that you can bring over to your chart. Okay, just again, highlight it, hit the button, it'll move it over. I already have VWAP on my chart. Okay, right now it is not being displayed, but once it's over here, go back to the edit pencil, and then here are the parameters for VWAP. Okay, now right now I have it hidden so it doesn't display on this video today, but you can do a number of things. You can actually have that VWAP line show the value, so when you scroll over the VWAP line, it will show you the value of VWAP at that place. Now personally, and I know a number of other people, I trade a lot with VWAP. Not looking for entries, mostly exits, but the VWAP to me is a very strong indicator of areas where a stock either might go to and then bounce, or go to and roll back over. So again, I have it on my chart. It's just another parameter that I look for when I'm entering a trade. So I use, it defaults to 0. I have them at 0. Okay, I don't personally show it, but you can. Okay, so I'm going to now re-show it. And what I'm going to do is make this really thicker. Okay, and I'm going to show the indicator, hit OK, and then either hit apply or hit OK. And you notice on my screen it just drew the line for VWAP on Netflix. Okay, so again, I'm going to right click it, go here, go back to my edit pencil, and I don't want a line that thick, obviously, so I'm going to go back to my 2 line, twice the size, I guess. Hit OK, hit apply, and you can see in the background that it's changed. Hit OK, and there's the VWAP line for Netflix, a little bit narrower. Okay, I'll get to fibs in a minute. Pivot points, VWAP on which time frame? Okay, so I hope it answered your questions about those, Oliver. Now, fib lines takes okay, great. So I'll do Fibonacci lines. So when you start with Fibonacci lines, you need to go to your dashboard. Okay, and if you go to your dashboard, it will display something like this. You can have it display any way you want. I mean, it's just however you want to do it. But I just for the moment, I have it like this. So what you want to do is go to Settings and click it. And that brings up a number of different choices. The usual default when you go there is up at the top here. You have application, data sources, charts, and trading, and then certain commands that you can give to each one of these methods, I guess. So what you need to do is bring up your dashboard and go to Fibonacci values. Okay? Now, on the left-hand side, you will see I've written in numbers. You don't have to do it this way. I've probably over-inputted fib lines, okay? But these are the fib lines that I can display at any time. Okay, so all you have to do is click the box, type in the fib line. obviously the 0, the 236, the 382, the 50, 618, 786, 100, and a few that are above. And they sort of have the same numbers to the negative fib line. Some people use negative fib lines. Once in a while I do, but for the moment I don't. So type them all in, whatever fib line you want. Type them in, okay? You hit apply, hit OK, and now you've set the parameters or the choices to draw fib lines. You have to do that first. So the next thing you want to do is bring down your toolbar or ribbon here, and you want to go to the section that says draw. Okay, and you will see a number of choices you can make under this section, so to speak. Lines, alerts, triangles. Oh, there's one that's called Fibonacci's. All right. So what I'm going to do at first, I'm going to show, if you go down to this line, highlight it, and then right click it, okay, you've got two choices you can make. You can add to quick access toolbar, okay, or minimize the ribbon. I don't want to do that. Let's say you want to have Fibonacci drawings on your screen all the time, so all you have to do is click it and it highlights it. Now mine is gray because I already have my Fibonacci drawing button up here. Yours, if you haven't done it, should be black. If you just click it, okay, you will see that it adds it to this line of commands or buttons, action, that it'll take. I like to have it on there because it just stops me from one or two different steps. All right. But so now you want to draw a fib line. So let me change to, let's get a 30-minute up. Okay, so this is a 30-minute candle now of, or chart of Netflix. So let's say I want to fib some candle. In this case, it's a 30-minute candle. So I either click this or click that, okay, and it activates drawing a fib line. So let's just say, for example, I want to fib this particular candle. I got these activated. So let me do this. I want to draw it this way now. Bottom of the candle, scroll up, and you'll see a number of fib lines that are now drawn. All right? And I'm going to show you how to make this display, but this is what I default to on my charting chart when I use fib lines. Now, let's just say, for example, I want different fib lines, or I don't want this, or I want to add some more. Once you've drawn a fib line on any one of the lines, just right-click, and you'll get this display. And notice at the bottom, it has all the fib lines that I listed back in the settings part. Okay? If you only had 3 of them, it will only show 3 fib lines. But it shows all the ones that I could potentially draw. All right? So if you want a particular fib line drawn, then just click the box that you want. Obviously the 0. If you want a 236, hit that. And if you see in the background, if I unclick it, it goes away. Okay? Check the fib lines that you want to have on your screen. Okay? I have checked these. All right? And these are the ones that I want to see every time I draw a fib. So once you've made the selection of fib lines you want to draw, come down here to default, okay, and it will default when you're drawing a fib line to these numbers. Now if you want to add one that I don't have checked, let's add, I've got a 168, I don't know, a 1414, click it, and it displays, okay? If you want to have it display all the time, then hit Default. If you just want to have it displayed this particular drawing, then just hit OK and it'll stay there until the next time you bring up the Fib button, activate the Fib button. It will only draw your default. So if I did it again on another chart, this 141 will be gone. So I'm going to unclick it. I already have this set as my default. And the one last thing, actually, there's a couple of things you can do. If you go up to the top here, you'll see extend left. So when I draw fib lines, I have the line extended all the way to the left side of my chart. Okay? Extend to the right, and it will draw the fib line all the way over to the right-hand side of my chart. Now, if you want to display what fib line you're displaying, okay, if you hit this box, which I have, okay, it will show the actual fib line that you've drawn over here. So you can see I've got all these fibs on my chart. I've got the 0, the 236, the 382, the 5618, all of them, okay? So it shows the percentage, or the fib line, and then I've clicked Show Values. Okay, and you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, it'll show you the value of that particular fib line. So right now, the 1618 on Netflix is 262.76. Now, you can change a couple of different things. You want to change the text color and make it, well, let's make it green. Okay, and now you see all the fib lines and the text color is green. Personally, I don't know. I can draw all sorts of ones here. Okay, now I've checked this color, which is white. And also you can change the colors of your actual fib line. So let's say your first fib line is blue, but if you click up to the second fib line and you want to make that, again, just for purposes of instruction, let's say I want to make it that color. Oh, you know what? Sorry. That changed the thickness. If I go to this, and yeah, I'm going to change it to green. Sorry, just thinking for a moment. Okay, that's fine. They've all changed to green. Now, personally, kind of green kind of messes up my screen, but you can change every one of these colors if you want. So again, either set default, set OK, and now I've got the fib lines displayed. Now if you want to get rid of the fib lines, or maybe you want to redraw the fib lines, very simple. Go up to any one of the lines, right click, it brings down this, and you see this red X on the left hand side. If you click that, watch the background, and they go away. So that was a long explanation, but I hope helpful. So let me make sure. Fibs, pivot points, and VWAP. Okay, I hope that helped, Oliver. I think I answered all your questions. Okay, so next up is from Paul. Are you looking at the arrows or a few screens before entering a trade? Well, first of all, I will look at different time frames on a chart before I enter. Okay, and right now I've got a 60, so let's just, for the purposes of answering the question. So now I have a 5 chart up on Netflix. Okay, this is the way I have it displayed at the moment. So to answer your question about using the clear lines, which I'm happy to do. So okay, give me 1 second here. Let's get rid of, whoops, wrong one. Come on. I want to hide VWAP. Just get it off my screen. Hide it. Okay. Okay, so now it just hit it, so I get rid of it. So when I'm looking at a trade, I will, Paul, not only look at the candles and some other indicators that I've drawn, okay, but I'll also look at the clear lines themselves, the Clearline software, which we hope everybody has included in their membership with us. So one of the actions up here on my top here is what's called Hide Primary Chart. If I click this button, Medved's primary chart are the candles. Okay, everything else is in addition to your chart. So when you first download Medved and you set up your first chart, it will only display to candles. So since everybody's downloaded and can now display the clear lines, and again, this is an indicator, okay? If you see, go down here where it says clear lines, move it over, which I've done, okay? That will display on my chart. But if I want to get rid of the candles, I click this button, and now I only show the clear lines on my chart and other ones. Okay, but I've hidden the candles. It makes it a little less busy, and I almost always will check. And a couple things I do check when I'm getting into a trade is I'll look at the 1 minute and see if I get a confirmation of going long or going short. And look at the beautiful, so if on a 1 minute, Clear Lines gave you an alert to go long here at 361 and change. And look at this beautiful run it made. It actually confirmed it one more time, all the way up to this red arrow comes up. And it says either, okay, this is probably a good place to get out, or it's a good place to short. Okay, and I will check with Clear Lines, I'll check the 3 minute, which if I get a 1 that's green, and then I get a 3 that's green, that just kind of solidifies that maybe we are changing momentum and going a different direction. So you can see I had the 1 up earlier. Now I've got the 3, and it gave you an indicator or alert to go long here. And now since I had the 1 that's green, and now I got a 3 that's green, I'm a little bit more comfortable or confident in going long in this trade, if this is what you wanted to do. Okay? And it gave a beautiful, beautiful run here on Netflix. And then got to this peak and then started rolling over. And I wouldn't get out of a trade unless I got a 3 displayed. Because if you got a 1, it might display a red arrow a little bit quicker than the 3. The 3 may not be displayed yet. But once the 3s gets displayed, or maybe the 5, again, you got to feel comfortable with what you want. Here's a 5 minute. But I kind of look at the 3 to confirm the momentum of a trade, and whether either to get out or to entry. Again, it's not the only thing that I use, but it is an important indicator that I use. All right. So I think that answered your question, Paul. I hope. So clear lines is a very strong, powerful indicator when you're making trades, in my opinion. And that's why we offer it to our members. It's a software program that was designed by our trader Kip Cohen. And again, you have to sign up for this service, but most people do. And once you sign up, being a member to our webinar and a member of Clearlines, this is what you'll see on your chart. Now, I'm going to reload or unhide my candles, and now they're back on the screen. I hope that answered your question. LP, did I answer your question about the VWAP lines? I hope. Can you show the value 2 more minutes, please? 2 more. Oliver, don't know if I understand your question correctly. LP, is there a reason you don't use higher fibs? Um, I guess to answer your question, is it because you're doing day trading rather than swing? Probably. Unless a stock is way out of control, and is at the 300. I mean, if I had my fib lines drawn, okay, let's go back to the 30-minute chart, and let's fib this again. So I'm going to hit, this activates the fib drawing. And I'm going to go to the bottom of this line to the top of this line. Okay. So I have the 168 drawn. And I also have the 200 and the 2618. But that's the highest as I go. It's very simple to add it. Okay. Right click on any line. Okay. And then just hit, which one did you say? Let's say you wanted, I don't have it. Okay. So I don't have the 300 or higher fib lines in my Fibonacci setup where I originally set up all the fib lines, the choices that I had. So I could go back to settings on your dashboard, go back to settings, change the value or add a value, let's say a 300. Once you do that and come back to the screen, it will list a box that says 300. So if you click that box, it will and then hit OK, it will display. But to answer your question, probably because we're shorter term traders usually in here. But again, to add it is very simple. All right. You just have to go back to the settings and input the 300 line. Then click the button here once you get back here, and it will display. You can also display it as a default so that every time you draw a fib line, it'll show. So, to answer your question, yeah, I guess so, because we're day trading. But again, if I need to show a fib line that's higher than what I have, it's easier to add. So, how did I get? Okay, Paul, how did you get the fib retracement parameters? You mean displaying the fib lines? I'm not sure I've got your question 100%. So for the moment, I'm going to cancel or delete that particular fib line drawing. Again, right click anywhere. Go to the red X. You want to know how to install the actual fib line? Okay, I'll do that again. So what you need to do first is go to your dashboard. Hello? Okay, and here's my dashboard. Okay, this will be a window that always will be either on your screen or minimized. If you get rid of it, it'll only exit the whole program. So anyway, this is what Medved has, what they call their dashboard. One of the things you want to, and you know what I'll do? I'll set the 300. Okay, so I go to settings. All right. And I go to, again, usually it defaults to the last window you had open, but the normal default is back to the first line here. But since I had Fibonacci values up before, it kind of goes back to the whatever window I was at. So again, Fibonacci values. Now I'm going to draw in here, okay, a 300, which is one of the ones that someone was asking about. Okay, hit apply, which it's done. Now hit OK. All right. Now, I'm going to activate my fib line drawing, and I'm going to draw a candle. Once again, we'll use this 30-minute candle. Okay? Now, you'll notice that I don't have the 300 fib line on there yet. Right-click on any one of the lines. It brings this up, and now notice I now have the 300. All right? Wasn't there before because I didn't enter it, but now that I entered it and hit OK originally, now the 300 displays. So let's say I want to have the 300 displayed. Now watch the top of the chart. There's my 300 line. If you don't want it, or you don't want anyone, okay, so just for you LP, I'm going to always display a 300% fib line on my chart, along with the other ones that I've clicked here to activate. So I'm going to set that as my default, okay? So every time I now draw fib lines, I will have a 300 fib line drawn. Hit OK, and it already drew it, obviously. And you can see if I just really compact this, you know, there's the 300 and all the other ones that it drew. So that should, so let's just make this a little bit wider. Okay. And again, for you to scroll up and down on your chart, all you have to do is go over to the right-hand side or the y-axis here and click it once. And then you can just left-click again and hold the button down, and you can move the range of a particular symbol very easily. All right? So let's say you want to have it displayed back. The other thing you can do, which I find a nice little action, is if you go down to the x-axis and you see the time of the day highlighted or listed, if you left click on this, okay, and then left click again and scroll left or right, you can leave what they call padding on your screen. Now I usually use just a little, maybe 3 or 4 time frames open, but the one nice thing that you can do, or why I have any sort of area over here that's not, you know, that's in the future, is let's say you want to draw a trend line. So again, you can come up here and you go to the draw section and hit line, and that'll activate your line drawing as opposed to a Fibonacci. Now I also have on my screen, or on the top in my ribbon right here, I can draw a trend line, an alert line, a Fibonacci retracement lines, and a channel. So all I have to do is hit any one of those 4 buttons and it'll activate drawing that particular line. But going back to my answer here, I'm going to highlight the line, and let's just say for giggles I wanted to just draw the trend line on Netflix, something like that. Okay. Now, not only will it, if you had no padding, it would only stop right here. But since I have this additional padding, this line will be drawn into the future. All right? And let's just say, for example, you draw this triangle using the S1 and this tread line. You know, maybe you see this is a breakout point right here, perhaps up or down, or maybe you take it off this line I drew from the other day, and you can see that it's a descending triangle here. And a lot of people say that when it hits one of the edges of an ascending or descending triangle, it's either acts as resistance on the top line, or support on the bottom line, or if it breaks through, then it may make may reverse and go the other way. So I'll do that too sometimes. I'll draw trend lines. And another thing I like to do a lot is drawing lines at the bottom of candles, at the bottom of wicks. And a lot of times, if you go back into history a little, you can go back and find a level, not all the time, but a level where it seems like candles go down to a certain area and then bounce, or just the opposite, go up to a certain level and bounce. And I like to just, again, to have a mind, geez, if Netflix ever got down to this yellow line that I've drawn, which is kind of, it picks up a bunch of candles over here, it might be a place where I'll look to get probably long in this case. And then I'd put my stop in around S2. So that's kind of my thought process as I'm going through a trade. So I'm going to get rid of it again. I'm going to get rid of the line I just draw. So again, right click anywhere on the line, hit the red X, and it's gone. Shao, for fibs, why use the negatives? There are some people that use the negatives. Shao, I usually do not, but again, some people like to draw the negative fib line because again, it will, if it gets through the top of, the zero line or bottom, goes through the zero line, it might give you places where it might show some resistance or support. So for example, let's just say I'll draw let's say I draw a negative 168. Okay, highlight it, and you see it drew it. Now this is going to be a good example. So I drew it. I'm not going to set it as default because this is the only time I'm going to use it, probably, or at least right now. Hit OK, and you notice that the negative 618 fib line is drawn right here. But I see, the thing that I see right now, also with that fib line, is a S1 line, pivot. So now I'm going to sit here, if I'm looking at Netflix, and I now have a second parameter on my trade to either, again, depends on how you're looking at it, either it's going to come up to these two indicators for me and maybe turn over, or it'll come down and hit these two levels and maybe go higher. Or a third thing, it breaks out either higher or lower. But if I'm personally looking at this particular chart that just by chance it showed the negative 618, I might use these two indicators to either set a trade, to exit a trade, think that that's a goal that I might hit in my trade, and then put my stop in. Again, I would think about putting my stop in. Come on. Maybe somewhere down near this S2 if I was short, or if I wanted to go long. If I got long here, maybe I'd think about my goal would be to these two indicators here. So that's kind of my thought process on, now that I'm looking at this chart. I mean, it immediately came to my mind that, oh, not only is that negative 618 drawn, but it's also right at in this case, an S1 pivot. So that kind of gives me, more confidence. Well, if I'm going to trade, that's a good place to either look to get in or get out. So, so to answer your question, Shao, that's why people like to draw negative fib lines. Again, just using the Fibonacci method. If you went below your zero fib line, maybe you can find some support or resistant areas with that. So I don't have it, it doesn't default right now to the show, but you can easily bring it up if you wanted to, as long as you set that box on the original list in your settings button. So I'm going to get rid of this line, or the lines, and now I'm just back to what I call my normal screen. How do you know when doing a fib where you start the fib. Okay, so let's go to a 60-minute. Maybe it'll get a little bit better. All right, so a lot of times when we trade, one of the things that I look for in a lot of our and all of our other trading experts is we use candles. We fib certain candles at certain times of the day to draw fib lines. So what I'm going to do here is let's assume this was the opening candle of Netflix for today. Okay, it's a little bit. It's like it's actually the second. Here's the first one. Yeah, we could do the first one. So we usually would draw a 30, either a 15 candle or a 30 candle, and display the fib lines, and that will draw lines that, again, might give us some reason to either get in or get out a trade at those fib lines. We usually will do the first 30 or the first 15, and that gives you the fib lines for the rest of the day. Or there's a lot of times we'll also draw on a daily chart yesterday's fib line. We'll go up and down to set fib lines from yesterday's daily candle. That's what some of the things that we do. I mean, you can do fib whatever you want, but let's just say, for example, I want to fib this opening candle, assuming that's what it is. So you want to go to draw, or in this case, hit my draw Fibonacci action button, and let's say I'm going to go to the top of that candle and then go to the bottom of that candle. And now you've drawn the fib lines. And that will give you ideas or areas that you may want to look to get into. All right? Fib line right to the top. And you can see levels that your Fibonacci lines will display. So maybe it goes down to, if you like to trade the 786, it drew this line. It might have been a place to enter or exit a trade. All right? And also notice that because I defaulted, my fib lines with now at 300, that also is displayed. All right? So again, it depends on which candle you want to fib. It's up to you. What we will normally do in the trading webinar when we're looking for live trades, and maybe there's no support line or a moving average line or a high candle or a low candle, and we want to try to, well, maybe we'll either fib the first 15-minute candle or the first 30-minute candle, or fib yesterday's candle to display Fibonacci lines. Okay. Is this? You just take the bottom of the candle and fib to the top of the candle. Or maybe some people just draw fib lines off the body of a candle. Okay? Personally, I like to draw them off the wicks. There are some people that will just take it from the bottom of the body to the top of the body and fib that area. But I like to do again, personally, you don't have to do it that way unless you're comfortable with it. But I use the wicks when I use Fibonacci because it actually went to that price. But some people use the open and close. Okay. Anybody else? Claire, you happy? David, LP, Oliver, Benita, Shao, Paul? Anybody else? I think I got to everything. How to do Fibonacci parameters. And how do you do fibs? Stock went up. Okay, I think I am going to end this video. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate that, Paul. Shao, appreciate that. LP, thank you very much. Is it possible? I don't think so, Oliver. Thanks, Paul. Enjoy the game. I don't think so, Oliver. I think it can, unless, I'm 99% sure that those are the size of the candles. I think it's just predetermined that that's what it is. You can make them bigger or smaller. Like, let's say you want to do I'm just going to put in 8 just for example. If you hit apply, okay, it'll make the lines thicker, but it won't change the size of the arrow, the actual alert. Okay, so you can, if you want to make the green line thicker than the red, or the red thicker than the green, okay, most people will just have it set for equal. So go back to clear lines. I'm going to bring this back to 2. Hit apply, and now you see it's back to the. Yeah, I don't think the size of the candles of the alert arrow can work. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for being here, and I hope this video is helpful, and I hope I answered everybody's questions that were here today. Remember, if you have any questions about anything, all you have to do is contact us at www.orders@equity-alerts.com, and we will get back to you promptly. So with that, have a great day, everybody. Hope your football teams win, and we'll be up and running tomorrow between 8 and 8:30, getting ready to with Kip to display his pops and drops. Jim will be here. Steve does his session between 11:30 and, excuse me, yeah, 11:30, 12:30 with Steve, and then from 12:30 to 1:30, Kip will come back on and use a section of time to answer your questions, strictly not too much actual trading, but answer any question. And then I normally come on at 1:30 until the rest of the day, but always in the chat room. So, thank you very much, and we will see everybody later.